You can do Nayania Baria, Nayania Manania, Manania. You can do Nayania Baria, Nayania Manania, Manania.
Yaama, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a Cuppa and a Yarn. This is a podcast from the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council. I'm Michelle Aleksandrovics-Lovegrove, and we're broadcasting live from the 49th annual Koori Knockout, a beautiful tuggerah on the Central Coast. And we have a very special guest with us, and certainly for our people listening to this podcast later, you'll be able to get the benefits of the one and only South superstar, Cody Walker. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries, and thanks for sparing the time to have a yarn with us today. And you've got a lot of fans here this afternoon. Look at all we've got these little young fellas here. So, do you know what Cody's nickname is? You young fellas, do you know what his nickname is? What is it? Is it? Nah. Do you want to tell him?
Walks.
Walks. Yeah. So that's Cody's nickname. So can I ask you, young fellas, we'll go 1, 2, 3, and I want you to just call out Cody's nickname. Will you do that for him? Come on, Cody, you got to rev him up. You rev him up?
Go on. Hey.
Yeah. You ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Woo! Well, we'll see how they go at the end, Cody.
You might be right at the end.
Yeah, but look, welcome to a Cuppa and a Yarn, and I think you generally need very little introduction, so that's all going to unfold as our talk today goes. So let's start at the beginning with you, if we could, at the beginning of Cody. So who's your mob?
I'm a proud Bundjalung man from my father's side, and my mother's side's Yuin tribe down the south coast of New South Wales, so got a bit of both worlds. Bundjalung's up the top end of New South Wales, Yuin's down the south coast, New South Wales. So.
And you were born in Nowra, is that right?
Yeah, born in Nowra, spent the first couple of years down there, and then moved back to the north coast. Okay,
and we were having a yarn before about those tracks your family made after Nowra. Like I know South Coast pretty well, so beautiful part of the world down there,
Yeah.
So, but you went up to Casino, is that right, or a few places in between?
Yeah, I actually went up to a place called Yaama, lived a few months there, and then moved to Maclean and lived about 3 or 4 years there, and then moved over to the Casino where I spent majority of my childhood, and then moved to the Gold Coast at 17.
All right. So you got any siblings?
Yeah, I'm the youngest of four. Got 3 older brothers, so got bashed around a fair bit as a young kid.
I was going to say, it would have been a bit of rough and tumble, eh?
Yeah, it was.
So you're the youngest of 4 boys. See, I'm the eldest of 4 girls. So I was at the top, and we had rough and tumble too, let me tell you. Just because it's girls doesn't mean you don't, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like then, being the one that was bashed up all the time?
Yeah, it was obviously hard, growing up in a family of 4, but the backyard footy games were fairly hard. I got flogged around a fair bit, but I was probably the favourite child, so I used to whinge to mum and dad, and the boys used to get flogged up. So that's how I got them back.
You were the spoiled youngest boy?
Yeah, I was the spoilt one. I used to. If they picked on me, I'd go and tell mum and dad, and they used to flog them. So. Oh
no. Well, yeah, that does sometimes work a bit like that. I got a bit of that the other way round as being the eldest. Yeah, so I know what it's like, and I know you. That's all I'm going to say. I know you, Cody. I know your sword. So with those backyard games, so is that how you started to play? And was it league, or was it something else?
No, it was always league.
Yep.
I thank my brothers a lot for the position I am at the moment is because of those backyard footy games is where I learned all my skill. My oldest brother's 6 years older than me, so his skills that he was passing down to me 6 years younger were heaps good to me, and they were flogging me around, made me a lot tougher than I am. So I owe a lot to my brothers for teaching me that sort of stuff as a young kid.
So they were playing and you just came in. So how old would you have been when you really started doing more than wandering around at the backyard?
I started playing footy when I was 5.
Okay.
Used to play in my brother's age group, 2 years above me, and it was back then we didn't wear footy boots. So, and we had a rule on the field that me and my brother couldn't be on at the same time because we used to fight and carry on. That's how. So one of us had to sit down and one of us was on the field. So it was quite funny.
So from the backyard to where? After that, you're barefoot, and I've got to mention a lot of the young fellas here today. We got some barefoot young fellas. That's good. You're keeping the faith, eh?
Yeah. So I started playing when I was 5 in Maclean, called Maclean Magpies. In those days, you didn't wear footy boots. And the funniest memory that I have as a young kid is that I used to pick bindi eyes out of my feet on the weekend. So. Until they brought footy boots in, we had to wear no shoes, which was...
So if you were playing all weekend on bindi-infested grass, and I got memories of that sort of stuff too, you would have had a foot full of it. Is that right?
Yeah. Obviously the first game is always the hardest because your foot's not immune to it, but by the end of the season you don't really...
You walk on nails, eh?
Your foot's that tough, you can walk on anything.
Yeah. So... what was it that you sort of liked the most about those times? You know, because it's clearly very different times to now.
Oh, I just think there was no care in the world, that kids just, showed up on the weekend and just jumped out there and had a game of footy, and you'd have 2 or 3 games a day just by going and playing. Sometimes you played on the other side if the other team didn't have enough numbers, and it just wasn't a worry in the world. It was just... the funnest times of your childhood was with the footy, and on the weekend with your brothers, your cousins, your friends and family. So,
any of you, with your parents, any of your sort of like uncles, etc., play?
Yeah, obviously in the local competition. It was 2nd division back then. My dad used to play for Yaama Stingrays, and we used to go down there, be ball. One of my older brothers was ball boy, and used to have little games of footy on the side of the park like these young fellas here do, and it's just the best moments of your life that you cherish for a long time.
And in those years, at casinos, sort of like life generally and school and all that sort of stuff, was there anything else that sort of was a big flavour of your life as well, or was it always, about playing and the next time you could be with the ball? Yeah,
as always, as a young kid growing up in casino, We'd have a group of boys, and there'd be 2 or 3 footies getting passed around and getting kicked through the street and all that sort of stuff. So I feel that's where the natural talent comes in. That we were always practicing our skill, always passing left to right, and playing little games wherever we could. And that's all we knew back home was casino. In casino was just footy. So yeah, it was just awesome town to be a part of.
To me, as someone who, I've got to admit, sort of league isn't my hugest thing. I'm South Australian, so I'm a bit more sort of on the AFL side generally. But with sport generally, the story you're telling now about growing up in casino and how you fellas were, it's all in you from a very young age. But it's not a really unusual story, though. Like, you talk to a lot of fellas and girls too, and that's what people do, and this is what they did. So when did things start to change for you a bit, and you were going, it looked like your future was going to be something a bit bigger along those lines?
I suppose at a young age, I can remember, growing up, that I was 5 or 6, and I'd always watch TV and watching footy on TV, and it was just all I wanted to be when I grew up was to be a footballer. Okay, so that was it for you. All right, so you knew. Yeah, I knew from a very young age that's what I wanted to do. We used to spend our weekends in front of the TV watching footy on TV, and that was it. It was just always footy, and growing up with 3 older brothers, as I said, that's all we knew, and always talking about footy. Saturday mornings was always footy. Sunday we'd go and watch Dad play, so our life was just consumed with footy. You're listening to a Cuppa and a Yarn from the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council. I'm Michelle Aleksandrovics-Lovegrove. I'm sitting here talking with Cody Walker. Now, we're at the Koori Knockout. It's pretty hot. Are you right? Do you need a drink of water or anything, no,
Cody?
Fine,
you good?
Yeah.
You good? All right. So, we've just got bottles of water so everyone can stay hydrated on a very, very hot afternoon here on the beautiful Central Coast. So, we're still on that winding way from you being a young fella, knowing from the age of 5. That was your whole life. I've got to ask you though, how did school factor for you? Was that something that then, you were so focused on this goal, did you just sort of like, oh, okay, I've got to go because I've got to go, or?
Yeah, that was probably the mentality of all young kids, is that you have to go to school, but I probably didn't apply myself in school as much as I should have. Didn't like going to school, obviously, but it wasn't until I left school that I really realised that, school's pretty important. It's the most important part of your life because it does set you up for, after schooling and into your adulthood life. So if I could go back, I probably could, but obviously I can't. But I wish I could have done things better.
Yeah, but you haven't done them too badly though. Like seriously, so you would have left school. You were 18, 19, was it, when you were at Gold Coast? Gold Coast Titans?
18.
18, yeah. Okay, so how did that come about?
I was signed by the Gold Coast Titans as probably 16 as a development, and I signed, I think it might have been a 3 or 4 year deal, and about 17 I moved to the Gold Coast to go to school up there because I was getting in a little bit of trouble back home in casino. So I moved up there, didn't like obviously training and all those sort of things, so I didn't really apply myself to my training and all that sort of stuff, so I wasn't playing the best footy, and one of the other boys there, Burnsy.
Is that some mates walking past?
Yeah. No, so I went up there, moved to the Gold Coast, went to school for the 2 years up there, and I went into schooling with the Gold Coast Titans. I was a teacher's aide for the Titans Learning Centre, and it was I was just in there helping young kids with low self-esteem, and had a lot of issues with making new friends and at school. So I was just sort of there as a support person. Really enjoyed that job, and that sort of finished up at the end of that year, and that was 2009 it was. 2010 I went into a construction job, and it was one of the hardest years of my life, where you had to work from 7 to 3 o'clock and then go and train at night, and you weren't getting home till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and having to cook dinner because I was living by myself and all those sort of things. So I didn't really enjoy that part of my life, and it probably showed in my footy. I wasn't playing the best type of footy, and it was in and around my diet and all those sort of things. And after work I was going to train, and then after training I was picking up something easy because it was just wasn't preparing myself right, and it showed in my footy.
So from that time then, what was the change? So, I've got to say, guys, I've got a little list here, and Cody was having a little laugh at it before. So I got 2011 Penrith. You were with Penrith, is that right?
Yeah, I was with the reserve grade at Penrith.
Yeah.
They were called the Windsor Wolves, so I was playing New South Wales Cup down there. I lived with my brother for the first time, and that's where I really... he really taught me how to live healthy. He was very professional in the way he lived his life, and I still remember getting down there, and he was actually writing in this little book everything that he put into his body, from breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I had never seen that before. So that really opened up my eyes, and it was then when I started to really make changes in my diet, and it probably started showing in my performances as well. But I wasn't signed to an NRL club at the time, probably because of the reputation I had at the Gold Coast, that I didn't like training, I didn't like eating right and doing all the right things that it took to be an NRL first grader. So it wasn't until 2014-15 when I signed another NRL deal with Melbourne Storm that within that 2011-2014 role is that I really had to build myself back up because of the reputation I did have. Wasn't the greatest, so I had to put my head down and work really hard to, train hard, eat right, and get my body right to be a first grade footballer.
So, I'm sure you've heard it many times before, but people talk about, Cody Walker, Souths, superstar, late bloomer, right? But you were and you're not. Would you say that some of that, because you're 29 now? You're 29? So is that because of those years where, Gold Coast down and then your brother starting that different road?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel as though I didn't make my NRL debut at a younger age because of those reasons. And it wasn't until I worked hard for 3 or 4 years and really put the groundwork in and built a good base with my body that I didn't start to see changes within my the way I was playing footy and the way I was living my life. And when I found out my partner was pregnant in 2011, I still remember the day that I got the phone call, and if I have a look back at where I was, I didn't have a job, I didn't have a car, I didn't have my licence, so I wasn't in a good position to bring on a baby, so I had to change things very, very quickly.
And you did?
Yeah, I had no choice.
You had to. Yeah. Well, there's always a choice.
Yeah.
But you made the right one, eh?
Yeah, definitely. I was always one of those kids that I wanted to be a great father when I did become a father, so I had to make that choice there and then, and obviously it turned out for the good.
And you have 2 sons?
Yeah, 2 young boys. And
can you tell me a little bit about them?
Yeah, Kyan, he's 7, turning 8 in December. And Kate, he's 5, so yeah, they certainly keep me on my toes.
Yeah, so probably these young fellas here in the tent with us today, they're probably all a little bit older, aren't they? Anyone here 7?
Buddy plays against my young fellow.
Oh, really?
Back in Sydney over here.
Oh, okay. Hello. Yeah. How you going? So you were talking about at that turning your life around, getting into your diet, making those changes so you could become the person that you've become and you'll continue to become. Yeah. Eh? So we've got a lot of young little blokes here. What would you say to them? Because they're clearly, they love you. I mean, look, they're all sitting here. Just for our listeners who can't see us, they're all sitting here. A lot of them are sitting here with footballs in their hand. So what would you say to them about, where they're going? And I know you young fellas probably don't want to hear some of it, but...
yeah, obviously eat all your veggies.
Eat your veggies? Eat your veggies, all right?
Broccoli, carrots and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You like broccoli, boys? Yeah? Yeah, see, they say, yeah.
Stay away from the, obviously fast food.
No McDonald's and stuff?
Yeah. All the fried stuff and all the easy options that you can just pick up on the run. It's about preparing yourself for life after, when you get older and if you want to live a healthy life.
So if you want to be a superstar like Cody, you've got to eat your broccoli and eat your veggies. So when mum dishes it out, just eat it. Do you think you can be up for that? Yeah. We got a couple of no's there.
They got to do it.
Yeah. So lots of you've gone from Storm. You're with Souths now. How's that? What's that like for you? You've been with them for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, I debuted there in 2016, and I feel very honoured and privileged to play at such a proud club, and I absolutely love the club and love the area. And my partners grew up in Redfern, Waterloo, so we've got a lot of family there, and it's just I find that home at the moment, and we absolutely love being a part of such a strong club.
So how's your year been with them generally? How do you feel your year's been?
Yeah, I hadn't had time to reflect on my year, but if I take a look back, I've probably had the biggest year of my career at the moment. I captained the All-Stars at the start of the year that I've never played All-Stars before, and it was just great to be a part of that week, and to go down there and be captain is something I'm very, very proud of. And then to play nearly every game this year and make my State of Origin debut and for New South Wales was something very special, and then to captain my club this year. Sam was injured for a long period of time, so Wayne made me the captain for, I think it might have been 10 or 11 games. So if you take a look back at my story, I'd never ever thought that I'd be a captain of any side.
Let alone 3.
Let alone
2.
Yeah,
okay.
Let alone 2. So it's been a huge year. It's been a great year, and it's something I'm very proud of, and can't wait to do it all again next year.
So you mentioned Wayne just before. What's it like playing under Wayne Bennett? How's that?
Oh, it's hard to put into words what he actually does, because I don't know, but he just actually gets rugby league. He gets being in a squad, he knows when to give you a day off. He knows when to flog you more. He knows when to give you a kick up the arse if you need one. He knows when to give you a cuddle, and he just shows that he's been around the game for 30 years, and being in the squad with him this year, you can just tell why. I had an opportunity to be signed by him in 2016, and I ended up turning him down. So when he did sign at the club, I was very nervous about meeting him because I didn't know him. I didn't know what to expect, and
he's got a reputation.
Yeah, he's got a great reputation as a great, he's the most successful coach to ever coach our game, and he's been in the game for 30 years. So the first day I was sort of like a little school kid not knowing what to say, and I was very nervous, and it's typical Wayne, he just set the mood straight, and he lightened the mood straight away. He made a joke and said, you wouldn't come to Brisbane to be coached by me, so I had to come to South to coach you. So those sort of things he does all the time. He just lightens the mood, and he's a great coach. He's great to be a part of.
Now, sitting here at the knockout this weekend, we were having a bit of a yarn before because you're not playing on any side this weekend, but you're hanging around a bit though. And this I thought was really great. You know, someone like Cody's here to, as you were saying, get water for the blokes if they need it.
Yeah, obviously.
Make sure they're good.
Obviously, my family team's put a side in this year, and we've done a lot of planning over the last 8 to 9 months, and the club on the other day said that I couldn't play and they weren't going to release me, and it's probably in the best interest of myself and the club that I don't play, because I've got a big game next week in the Prime Minister's 13, and if I get injured over the weekend, I'll throw that down the drain. So and my job at the moment is just to come in, help out wherever I can, and my main goal with putting the side in is to inspire young kids to really follow their dream. And if I'm playing in the side, they can pick up any little tips that I can do, and how I prepare for games, and what I eat before games, and all this sort of stuff. And
what do you eat before games?
I like a bit of spaghetti bolognese.
So your carbs, so you're nice and
carb
energised.
Up night before a game, and next day I don't eat too much, but it's all nutritional food, and make healthy choices, because before games is when you need to be at your best, nutrition-wise.
So with these young fellas, if they were playing, you'd say, carbs the night before, but good carbs. So not
not pizza,
chips,
obviously, and all that sort of stuff.
What about if it's good pizza? Is there good pizza?
Homemade, if you make homemade.
Yeah, true. Okay, and then after a game, what do you eat? Do you more protein or lots of water?
You sort of pretty much eat whatever you want after a game, because you lose so much, and you want to get as much back in as you can. And we have grilled after games at South, and sweet potato chips, and we get a bit of Coke into us, so try to get as much back in after games as we can.
Now, I know, despite your later ages debut, you've been playing for a long time with South now. Clearly there's got to be something about every team that inspires, that is really great. So what is it about Souths for you?
I think with South, it's got a long, proud history. We've been around the game since 1908. We're a foundation club. We've got so much history within the club, and you walk around the street in Redfern and everyone loves South Sydney. I feel like it's a black club. All the black fellas love South, so I get a real kick out of getting down the street and seeing, the bunny getting around. And if you go to different towns across Australia, I've been, to Cairns, I've been to Sydney, I've been everywhere. You always see that little Rabbitoh sticker on the back of cars all the time, and it's a very proud club, and I love being a part of it.
So, I don't know how often people ask you things like this, but clearly this is a huge part of your life and a huge part of you, and how people here view you. But we all know that there's a lot more to Cody Walker than that, obviously. So I don't want to sound trite, but hobbies, anything that inspires you? Do you have the time? What do you like to do? Do you kick a ball with your boys? Do you swim?
Yeah, obviously family time's
huge time.
Huge time in my household. My two young kids absolutely love playing footy, playing basketball. So any time I'm not at training, I'm with them, and You know, I don't really spend much time at home with the season because we're so busy and we're away a fair bit. So, you know, any time I've got free time, I'm spending it with them.
Do you like Skype or Facebook Messenger or whatever with your boys when you're away? You know how you can do video calls?
FaceTime every night.
Yeah, FaceTime, yeah.
My young kids have actually found out the way to FaceTime off their iPad, so I'll get 10 Facebook FaceTimes while I'm away, and it's Kay going, "Where are you? When are you coming home?"
Oh, they miss Dad, eh? They miss Dad. Yeah. So, do you mind if, because we've got a lot of young fellas here, do you mind, I know you're giving us a lot of time today, and thank you for that. Do you mind if I sort of perhaps throw it open and see if a couple of these young fellas would like to ask you a question? Yeah, right. This is a Cuppa and a Yarn, New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council. I'm talking with South superstar Cody Walker. We're live in the NSWALC speakers tent at the 49th Koori Knockout. We've got a lot of people in here, a lot of young fellas, clearly looking up to Cody. So you fellas, or boys and girls, has anyone got a question for Cody? Okay, I'm just going to get down off the stage. I'm going to walk over here so you can have the microphone. So speak in a nice big voice.
How did you feel when you done the good tackle?
Which one?
Which one?
It was just a good tackle.
What do you reckon I tell you who the hardest person to tackle in the NRL is?
Who?
Cohen Hess. Does anyone know him?
You know Cohen Hess?
For the Cowboys, he's huge. He's so hard to tackle.
I think this young fella might be asking Cody, like, what does it feel like when you make a really great tackle? Like, how does it feel when you go, yeah, that was the best? Yeah,
it's obviously good. I'm not the biggest player in the NRL, so we get targeted a fair bit. So whenever we make a good tackle, it's really good for the team, and we're doing our job for the team. And you know, other teams game plan their stuff around, you know, making us make a lot of tackles. So anytime we're making our tackles, it's really good for the team.
Okay, I have a young fella here who wants to ask you a question, Cody.
Are you scared of Latrell Mitchell?
Nah.
You're not scared of Latrell Mitchell?
You know what? I'm pretty glad that he plays on the other side of the field because he's very hard to handle.
All right, so I've got a young lady up the front of the audience here, so I'm walking through. Hello, do you want to tell Cody what your name is first of all?
Eloise.
Hey, Eloise.
What did you feel when you first played NRL?
Oh, I do remember my debut. It was in 2016 against the Roosters, and I remember walking out the tunnel, and I remember all the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and it was just an unreal feeling, and it was a dream come true. It was something I wanted for a very long time. So it was, it was an awesome time, and it was great to beat the Roosters. We have a very big rivalry against the Roosters, and we sort of hate each other. So it was great to beat them and beat them at the home game. Okay,
young fella over here, Cody.
How does it feel when you walk out of the tunnel at State of Origin? The big roar.
Yeah, it was. We played at Brisbane, so when we ran out, it was the crowd was filled with so much booze. So I've never been at a game where 50,000 people boo you. So it was a different experience, and it was something, you know, I really enjoyed. And as I said before, when I debuted for the NRL, it was a dream come true. But playing State of Origin is a dream come true as well. It was something, you know, I'd wanted to do for a very long time.
Okay, Cody, we're over here.
Would you ever want to go to a different team in the NRL?
In the NRL, nah, I don't think so. I feel like South is my home, and I'm very comfortable in my surroundings at South. So I don't think so, but I've got another year left at South, and no one can tell the future, so maybe.
I think I've actually got an adult question over here, Cody. He's trying to take the microphone. No, you're not allowed to, mate.
Hey, Cody, you talked about Wayne Bennett before. Wayne's been notorious for not smiling or not showing any emotion, but we saw a bit of it with you blokes this year at South. He's dancing in the dressing sheds and that. What have you guys done to him to bring the new Wayne? What have you done to him?
Yeah, I don't know. I think being in the Sydney bubble, he's in the media a fair bit than he was at Brisbane. So, and we got a couple of players in the squad, like Adam Reynolds is an absolute pest. So he absolutely annoys the hell out of Wayne, and We have a good squad at South, and it's a very tight-knit group, and that probably shows how tight we are with, how much we enjoy each other's company. And he's been laughing a fair bit this year, actually.
All right, I've got a young fellow over here who's clearly, you just come in from playing somewhere, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, what have you been doing?
Oh.
Who you been playing for?
Camilla Roy Galmaze.
So you got a question for Cody?
Yeah. Will you ever play for the Roosters?
No, that's one team I won't play for.
That answer is pretty simple. Do you want to come over here, darling? Because you're smaller and you're more energetic than me. So come on over. Okay, so we've got a second question from this young fella here. Do you want to come out? Now, just tell... Cody, do you know this young fella?
No.
Okay, what's your name, Dal?
Chase.
What's your favourite position?
I played a fair few positions in the NRL. I played half, 5'8", fullback, but I really enjoy 5'8". It's something I've been playing for a very long time, so that's where I feel I play my best footy, so I love that position.
All right, second question from this young fella who I think you know.
What was your favourite moment in the NRL?
Favourite moment in the NRL was obviously running out, but the game that I played in the first Indigenous game that I played in, and I scored a try, and I pointed to we had our handprints in our tribes inside the handprint, and I remember scoring the try and looked at the camera and I pointed at my handprint, and it was something that's never been done before in the NRL, where we had our handprints on the Indigenous jersey and we had our tribes in it, so it was a very proud moment. It was an awesome moment.
Actually, Cody, if I can possibly ask you a favour, I'd be very, very grateful. Here at New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council, we're getting set for our elections, which are on November 30. And as part of those, we're asking people who can vote to make their mark. And so we've got the handprint. We're asking people to write on some beautiful handprints we've had stuck here today, up on the wall, what your future wish, hope, want, vision is for our people. So could you, when we finish up, would you mind possibly writing up there? No, that would be really, really great. I've got one last, no, sorry, sweetie, I've got one last question. You can maybe grab Cody later because you've had a couple of questions. I've got one last question here. Yep. And just tell Cody what your name is.
Nash. Out of yours and Adam Reynolds' Goanna, who do you think was better?
Who do you think?
Yours.
Mine. I think mine.
Why?
I think Reynolds was a little wombat.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about it for questions. Anyone who hasn't asked a question, is there one you'd like to ask? Okay, you want to come up here? So we'll give everyone a go. So if you just want to tell Cody what your name is.
Hey, Sean. Who's going to win the GF?
Oh, who's going to win the GF? I don't want the Roosters to win, so I'm going to have to say the Raiders. But I think the Raiders, if they play the unorthodox style of footy that they play, I think they'll hurt the Roosters.
Do we have any support for that prediction? The Raiders? I think we do.
Nah, never another sport.
Yeah.
Obviously played cricket, in the summer, but it was never another sport.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want to ask a question, just come up on the microphone because we are recording this for New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council's podcast. Okay, final chance. Anyone who hasn't asked a question? No? I know, look. Come on, you're special. Let's go. We've got this little fella. This is quick. He loves you. All right. Question number 3.
Do you reckon you could catch the Jimmy Jet?
No way. He's too quick.
Why not?
Nah, he's too quick.
You're faster than him, but...
No.
Hi, I just want to ask one question. Who was your role model?
As a young fellow, I used to watch Preston Campbell on TV, but as I got a little bit older and had my kids of my own, it was my parents. They, obviously for the, the amount of sacrifices they made for you know, me and my brothers when I was a young kid, you know, every Saturday we'd have to travel, you know, sometimes 2 hours in the car, and they'd do it without any issues. And when I was 17 in Gold Coast, I didn't have a car, I didn't have a license, and whenever I had a you know, appointment or whatever, my mum would jump in the car straight up there and, you know, 2 hour drive and take me to wherever I needed to go. So as a young kid, Preston Campbell, but as I got older, my parents.
This is a cuppa and a yarn for New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council. We're in the speaker's tent speaking with the deadly Cody Walker. Your next 12 months, clearly, you know, it's what you're playing in the Prime Minister's 13 next week. So what's happening for you, I guess, over the next 12 months?
Yeah, I actually have to have a bit of surgery on my shoulder after the game, so I'll be recovering from that, you know, all through the pre-season, and I don't think I'll be right until maybe February. So obviously over the last couple of years it's been pretty shattering that we've lost in the preliminary final, one game before the grand final. So
I was asked to bring that up by my dear friend and over there, Paul. I was asked to bring it up, and I thought, maybe not, because there were. But yeah, it is. I mean, clearly it's disappointing, but top 4 result. I mean, that's pretty good though.
Yeah, obviously you have a look at the positives that come out of every year, but you know, obviously it's very shattering that we played the way we did, and if you have a look at every single stat that we had, we beat them in every single stat and still lost the game. So I think we made 5 line breaks to their 2, and we only, you know, got 2 tries out of it. So we didn't, you know, take our opportunities when they presented themselves. So that's probably the most shattering thing and the most disappointing thing. But you know, we'll prepare well again. We'll have a big pre-season and we'll go again. Looking to go one more.
So as you were saying, you know, every stat you were better. Prepare, but in the end you've got to be able to act on those opportunities when they're in front of you. Do you think that was the key to...
Yeah, definitely. We had so much opportunities to win that game, and you know, if you look back at the game, there was 2 times where we got over the try line, but we didn't put it, you know, I got one raked out by Judge Hodgson. Junior Totola, you know, was held up over the line. So those little key areas was something we need to nail, and they don't present themselves very often. So when they do, we have to, you know, really nail them and, you know, score the try, I suppose.
So if you don't nail them, you're going to look at that later, huh? Or you're going to perhaps, I mean, strategies will change down the track?
Oh, I suppose you just come back in, look at where you need to improve. There's a whole lot of improvement left in us, and you know, we'll work really hard in the pre-season to do that. We'll have a harder pre-season, we'll train harder, we'll do all these things that, you know, we know we're capable of, and we'll get back into the season next year and we'll go again.
So do you fellas reckon that Cody's going to have a big year, big season next year? Do you reckon? Okay, so the more you think of it, the louder you're going to yell. Is he going to have a big season? Yeah! Woo! Absolutely. And as far as being Cody Walker, partner, dad, Yuin Bundjalung fella, next 12 months for you with your family and your relatives and your friends.
I haven't even really thought that
far ahead. Just keep.
We're actually going on a family holiday for the first time. Never been out of the overseas. I've only been overseas to play footy at New Zealand, and my partner's never held a passport. My kids have never been overseas, so we're heading to Fiji for 7 nights, and thought it was a great opportunity to, you know, let my family see the world. And you know, we didn't grow up with, you know, going on too many holidays as young kids, so I thought, you know, it's a great opportunity for us to just get out, see the world, and what beautiful part of the world we're going to is Fiji. Is going to be outstanding.
Oh, you're going to love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it. Can I ask, is that sort of coming up fairly soon? Like, is it?
Yeah, on the 16th of October we're flying out. So
sweet. Yeah. Oh, congratulations. That'll be wonderful. Your boys will love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of you, as we wind up, you got a lot of fans here today. Obviously, sport has been integral in you carving out a really wonderful life and health for yourself. Any sort of words of wisdom for anybody here? We've got, you know, we've got people in uniform, we've got players here. You know?
I'm a very big believer in not giving up on your dream. as a young kid, I always wanted to be a first grade footballer. While it took me so long, while it took me so long, I faced so much adversity, but I didn't want to give up, and I wouldn't be in a position that I am today if I did give up. So if there's anything I can tell the young kids is dream high and dream big, and always chase that dream.
This is a cuppa and a yarn. Speaking with South legend Cody Walker. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Big round of applause for Cody.
You can do Nayania Baraya, Nayania Manania, Manania, Manania.